Hello and what is going on, everybody of the YouTube world? Today we are working on the dyno. Just maintenance. I'm just going to give you all a quick overview rundown of what to do on a 3-hole oil change. This is just how I do it, so y'all stay tuned, check it out. We're going to take this thing up the road real quick. We're not going to take it very far. I just like to warm it up a little bit before I get into it. So yeah, hang tight, we'll be right back. Now that we got a little heat in the motor, just like to get everything flowing a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and go over what you need to start with. What I like to start with, of course, some good oil. So I have good oil. Check. Oh, wait. I have got this Harley oil pan, which I have found convenient for my street glide, because my street glide is lowered 2 inches, so it does not have a whole lot of ground clearance. This bike, of course, not really an issue. It's not lowered like that is, but the pan is very convenient. So we're gonna go ahead and get this pan opened up and ready to rock and roll. Slip that under there. Oh. Okay, got your pan under there. So, okay, here, we'll just get to it. I'm gonna show you. So we'll pull your engine oil dipstick out. That's gonna be your transmission fill plug. So you're gonna pull that out. And then I'll come around and I'm gonna get it set up. We'll pull out the drain plugs and we'll start dumping the oil. That way you just pull those out, because it just helps to not create a suction through the motor while it's draining, so everything should just drain faster. That's also the reason why we took it up the road and brought it back. I didn't take it very far. I just took it far enough to get a little bit of heat in that oil, so that way it's a little bit thinner of a viscosity, so it'll just drain faster. So let me get y'all set up and we're gonna get to it. Okay guys, now we got all 3 holes draining. One thing that I'm going to look for while I'm doing this is of course something that while you're doing any oil change really, especially on your bike, you're going to be looking over all the critical components whenever you're doing this. You know, checking your brakes, looking at your tires, you know, checking all that stuff, checking air pressure in your tires, just all that stuff. You're going to be just looking it over. You don't really have to be like looking in detail, but it's something that I'm constantly looking on, like a pre-trip basically for the ride, and that's something that I'll be checking whenever I'm doing any kind of maintenance on the bike. This one being our first oil change since we have bought this bike and it's got 10,000 miles. One thing I'm paying real close attention to is the smell of the oil whenever it comes out of the bike, to see if it smells like gas really strong out of the engine oil, then you'll know that the bike's running rich. This one, I've already checked all that. Definitely doesn't seem bad. But back to it, this is your transmission drain plug. Gonna come out of this side. Once we get the drain pan and everything out of there, I'll reach up under there and show you a better view of that. But that's one thing you want to be looking at, is there's magnets on the end of these plugs. And so you want to be looking for like an excessive amount of buildup on these plugs. This, I would not consider anything to be really worried about. I just clean it all off, get it cleaned up, ready to go back on. But you want to watch out for an excessive amount of buildup. What that is, that's obviously a magnet, so that's metal shavings out of the engine, which over the life of the engine, you're going to have some stuff. It's just wear and tear This side, this one is our primary. Yeah, same thing, magnet on the end of it. You're going to be checking these O-rings. Whenever you pull it apart, it may be a good idea, if you can, just grab a new set of O-rings. This time we don't. I usually grab a set. And then this will be our engine oil. So look at that. Hardly any metal shavings on that. Just one of the key things you can kind of keep an eye on whenever you're maintaining your motorcycle, to maybe see if you have an issue creeping up on you or not. So far this one's looking good. We're going to skip forward. I'm going to let this get drained out. We'll get to pulling this engine oil filter, which is right here on the front of the bike. And this will be the Harley Davidson engine oil filter wrench that they have. Just goes onto the end like that and spins that. Has that cutout. You're going to need that on these Harleys if you're using a Harley filter or anything along those lines, because of your crank position sensor is right in the way. So that cutout allows it to go over that. You can turn it a little bit, pull it off, go back, turn it a little bit, just till you get it loose enough to do it by hand. So let's skip forward. I'll see y'all here in a second, and I'll show you where those drain plugs are. I'm just going to go ahead and pop the filter off. We just went over that. So now this is off. You try not to, but you're going to make a mess doing it. You can put rags under it. They make funnels. This bike's not as bad as my Street Glide is, but you're probably going to make a mess doing it. Pop that off. Just throw it down here. Let it start draining. And we'll grab our new filter. I'll show you what we got. Right here. Let's get us a NIF. So of course, I like running AMS oil on my bikes. I run 2050 oil in the primary transmission and the engine. So we have 5 quarts. We got a 5-quart kit from AMS oil. We have 2050 V-twin motorcycle oil. Also came with the oil filter. So let's get this oil filter tossed back on, and we'll start throwing some oil on the bike. Whenever you go to put it back on the bike, these things of course are sitting sideways, so it is not the easiest to keep your oil in your oil filter. Also run a little oil around the O-ring of your filter before putting it back on. Now me personally, I'm going to try and clean up a little bit in here while this oil filter is off. And then I'm going to spin my oil filter back onto the bike. Typically hand tight, since it's a tight area. I'll go ahead and throw this on there. You just want to snug this up. You don't want to get it real tight, because it will make it a bear to take it back off at some point. So you just basically want to get it hand tight. I just use this little ratchet because you can't get a good grip on it. And I'm just going to spin it on just like that. Doesn't take much. Oil filter's back on. We already threw in the drain plugs, tighten them back up. We just gotta start filling this thing with fluids, and then we're done. We'll fire it up, let it idle for a second, double check fluids, make sure everything's solid. So let's get to putting fluids back in the bike. So here's how it goes. You got your stuff back together. I have this funnel for the primary, just makes it easier. You can do it with a regular funnel. This one just makes it easy. Oh no! Dumped it in too fast. This one's supposed to make it easy. So you got 1 quart for your primary. Well, pow. Clean that up. Put that down. We're going to come around to this side of the motor. I'm going to go ahead and put a quart in the transmission. Now we're going to throw 2 into the motor. And once we get the 2 quarts in, we'll check the oil. Just to make sure. And we'll add the half as we need it. Now while that funnel is draining some, we'll take a seat. Now I'm going to run this transmission dipstick in, run it back out. I'd already wiped it off. And make sure that we're at the full mark, which we are perfectly at the full mark. So I will run this one back in. We want to do about the 3rd mark right there. That should get her about right whenever it's cold on the jiffy stand, which is what Harley calls the kickstand. Kind of weird, but okay, whatever. So we got 2 quarts, remember. Okay, we got 2 quarts in it. We're showing plenty full, but I'm gonna go get the primary tightened back up. We'll fire the bike up. We'll let it run for maybe a minute, and then we'll check it again. Alrighty guys, well that concludes a 3-hole oil change on a 17 Dyna Street Bob. Like I said, I'm gonna show you the drain plugs real quick. This one right here, that's going to be your primary. That's your engine oil right there facing towards you. And then you'll come around to the right side. And this one right here, tucked up under there, that's going to be your transmission drain plug. So we got them all drained, got it filled back up, everything torqued to spec. That's it, pretty simple process, easy way to save yourself some money, make sure your bike's maintained, make sure it's done right. So thanks for watching, come tune in next time for some more videos, come check out some other ones. So thank you guys, and we'll see you later.